And we are back here on the GSMC Sports Podcast. And for the third part of the show, we are going to talk about Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and the Blue Jays. So they failed to reach an agreement on a long term deal, and he's going to test free agency after the 2025 season. And, I said, is he going to come back? Is he going to go to another team? I believe that this will be Vladimir Guerrero Jr.'s last season with the Blue Jays. I think he's going to end up playing elsewhere. And the top two destinations, the top two favorites, it's the Red Sox and the Mets. Now, there's ties there. You got Rafael Devers with the Red Sox, and then, with the Mets, you got Juan Soto. So, I think Vlad would want to go play with one of those guys. Now, he does love being a Blue Jay, and he wants to stay, but at the same time, if the numbers aren't what he wants for a new contract, he's going to be playing elsewhere. And I just think Steve Cohen with the Mets, I'd probably lean towards him going to the Mets because of how Pete Alonso's deal is structured. Now, if Pete Alonso has a really good year for the Mets, he's going to opt out. And if he opts out, well, now the Mets have an opening at first base. And Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is available. So they would probably sign him. And Steve Cohen, like with Juan Soto, he will outbid everyone. No one is going to offer him more money because it's going to be exactly what it was with Soto. If it's the Red Sox and the Mets or the Blue Jays, and they're bidding, Steve Cohen is going to keep going higher and higher and higher until the other team is going to say, yeah, we're good. We're done. So I would say Vlad is going to end up there. I do think because there's, the rumblings about it. And like I said, if Pete Alonso has a good year and he opts out, there you go. But could the Blue Jays somehow sway him to stay? It's possible. But the fact that they were negotiating and they were not able to come to an agreement, and it seems like they were apart on the numbers, it's not encouraging. And the Blue Jays are a team that, over and over again, these last few off seasons, you hear their name connected to some of these big free agents. They were in on Ohtani, they were in on Soto, and they walked away with nothing. There was that instance when Ohtani was a free agent, and there's people tracking a plane that is flying to Toronto, and they're saying, that's Ohtani, he's going to be a Blue Jay, and that ended up not being the case. People were going crazy. But yeah, it's just the Blue Jays, they have struck out on these big free agents, and now one of their own could be leaving. And the Blue Jays, it's been a very disappointing era of baseball for them. Because at one point, they had this team with Teoscar Hernandez, Vlad, Bo Bichette, Marcus Semien, George Springer, Alejandro Kirk, the pitching staff, Alek Manoah. Right? They had this team that it looked like, hey, they're going to be a threat for a long time with this core. And they didn't win anything. And they ended up losing guys. Semien left. Teoscar Hernandez. It still does not make sense why they traded him. They made that trade for Dalton Varsho, but they traded Lourdes Gurriel Jr. And then I think they also traded someone else in the deal too. That ended up turning out to be a good player. Was it Perdomo on the Diamondbacks? And he actually recently just got an extension. Because I think he was I think I'm wrong. It's not Perdomo. It was another player. But either way, I mean, the Lourdes Gurriel Jr. ended up being an all-star, I believe. And they traded him for Dalton Varsho. But they wanted to get more left-handed, which I understand. Because the Yankees were dealing with a similar problem, too. Where their whole lineup was right-handed. but that really hasn't panned out. But now, like, the pitching staff, Chris Bassett, he was good, but now, he's not this. He's kind of declined on a little bit. Um, they've just been a disappointment. And going into this year, do I think they're going to be an awful team? No, but I think they're just, they're going to be a team that's going to be on the outside looking in. They've just been so disappointing. Bo Bichette's probably going to be gone too. Who knows? He could be traded at the deadline if, the Blue Jays are completely out of it. Well, then again, I mean, they did sign Santander, so that, they've attempted to improve this lineup. And I think Santander is going to be good for them. And he's, a switch hitter, big bat in that order. So maybe I'm jumping the gun here on, them being on the outside looking in. Maybe they make it as a wild card. I don't think they're going to be awful, but I don't look at this team right now and say, hey, this team is going to be a World Series contender. But there's some other things that maybe, the Blue Jays are a little hesitant with. I know maybe some of his behavior at times. I know Michael Kay was talking about it on the show, and I remember this. So the Blue Jays were basically out of it, and, the Blue Jays walked off the Yankees. Vlad had an RBI single that won the game, and, the Yankees were one game away from clinching the division, and Vlad's on the field saying, not in my house. And then the next night, the Yankees clinched the division in his house. And then I remember Michael Kay saying on the broadcast, it was nice of Vlad Jr. to let the Yankees celebrate their division crown in his house. I thought that was funny. Some people might not, but I thought it was. But yeah, it's just like, why are you doing that? But Vlad is a very good player. I like Vlad. Well, I did until, he said that he does not want to play for the Yankees. And I didn't know this, but supposedly the reason for that is because Vladimir Guerrero, his father, had a verbal agreement with Brian Cashman, the GM, that he was going to be a Yankee. But then all of a sudden, George Steinbrenner went out and got Gary Sheffield. And because of that, they ended up not signing Vlad. It would have been interesting seeing Vladimir Guerrero on the Yankees. But that, I guess, was a reason why Vlad Jr.'s kind of held this grudge against the Yankees. So he did meet with the media. Now let's get back to Vlad Jr. even more here. So he basically said they had their numbers, I had my numbers. This is through his interpreter. And basically said what Juan Soto said. Now they're going to have to compete with 29 other teams. So basically every team has a shot. Not really, but that's what these guys are trained to say when they're asked about their contract. So he has a career .288 batting average. He's entering his 7th season. He's hit at least 30 home runs in 3 of the past 4 seasons, and he's driven at least 90 runs in each season since 2021. But yeah, I mean, this could be another free agent that the Blue Jays miss out on, and the fan base is going to lose it if that ends up happening. So to kind of look at his stats overall over the last several years. So he came up back in, I think it was, 2019? Yeah. So in 2019 came up, 15 home runs, 69 RBIs. His best season was his 2021 season, and that was a very good year for the Blue Jays. He had 48 home runs, 111 RBIs, 86 walks, a .311 batting average, a .401 on-base percentage, a .601 slugging, and basically an 1,000 OPS. And then 32 home runs in 2022, 97 RBIs in that season, 26 homers, 94 RBIs in 2023, and then last year 30 home runs and 103 RBIs. And batted 323, 396 on base percentage, 544 slugging, and then a 940 OPS. So he was really good last year, and he didn't play in 3 games. He played in 159 games since 2021. Yeah, I mean, he's missed. So he missed 1 game in 2021, missed 2 games in 2022. He missed 6, so that's 9, and then yeah. So over the last 4 seasons, he's missed 12 games. He's durable. Guy plays pretty much every day. So whoever ends up getting him, that's now obviously when you get older things change, but he's 27. That's the other thing too. And he's going to hit the open market at actually no, what am I saying? No, he's 25. My mistake. I don't know why. Well, he's number 27. I don't know why. Well, I guess that's when. Either way, you're getting him at 26, 27 years old after this season. Because he's going to be 26. He's going to be 26 in March. So, yeah, I mean, it's like Juan Soto. Now, I think Juan Soto is a better hitter, better player than Vlad. But Vlad is really good. Vlad is up there as one of the top players in baseball. Especially coming off of a year like he did last year. So, yeah, whoever gets him, they're going to be lucky. I mean, if the Mets got him and Soto, I mean, that is to go along with Lindor. Or if, he went to the Red Sox and you pair him up with Devers. Now, the Yankees, are obviously going to be in the mix, but I don't see him going to the Yankees. I just don't see it. But only time will tell. Only time will tell. And if you give him a 10-year contract, that takes him to when he's about, 36, 37 years old. Rather than, Juan Soto, last 4 years of that contract, it's going to be kind of rough. Because the contract that he signed with the Mets, it takes him till he's 41. So it's going to be rough. But we got ways to go before that. And Met fans don't care about that. Met fans, if there's a chance to get Vladimir Guerrero and Alonso opts out, bye-bye Alonso. They're going to want him. They're going to want Vlad. So we'll see what happens. But let me know what you guys think. Do the Blue Jays keep Vlad, or does he end up going elsewhere next season? Let me know in the comments. Yeah, I'm leaning towards he's going elsewhere. That's my thoughts. But let me know in the comments. So we are going to take our next break, and then when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about the Lakers. We'll talk some basketball. So the second half of the season begins. They'll be playing tonight against the Hornets. And, I wanted to give my thoughts on the Luka trade and, what to expect from the Lakers going into the second half. So with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Sports Podcast.